Welcome to Choosing Acceptance podcast with your host, Marie Mason. I am here to share some success stories and tips on how to overcome your learning disability so that you can turn your talents into a career. And I love to inspire children and parents and teachers with learning disabilities to go beyond their limits so that they can make a bigger impact in the world. Schedule a call to become a guest on our show at calendly.com/Marie V. Mason. Welcome back to the Choosing Acceptance podcast with your host, Marie Mason. We have a great show lined up for you, and you don't want to miss it. Today, I am joined by my talented co-host, Ebuka Jestoc, who handles all of our video editing and voiceovers for our show, all the way from Nigeria. Welcome to our podcast, and so glad to have you. On today's episode, we will be sharing some great tips on how to overcome your learning disability and turn your talents into a career. Stick around for the end of each episode, and we will share how you can get access to some great resources to help you understand your learning disability. Before we bring up our speaker today, I'm going to actually share some great top tips of the week, and then we'll go to a commercial break, and then you'll hear from our speaker. Just to recap, on last week's episode on the top tips of the week, we talked about the 3 common signs of auditory perception, and our speaker was Georgia Vargas, and she talked about the 3 elements of our story: authority, tenacity, and credibility. And this week, our speaker is going to talk about the power of your voice after the top tips, because I believe it's important that we have a good story to share to go along with creating a really powerful message that our voices can share. So the 2 topics go well together. In today's top tips of the week, we're going to be talking about enhancing your auditory perception gifts, because I believe that all learning disabilities are a gift. We'll be discussing the different strategies you can use to help improve your listening skills, develop strategies to better understand how you process the information that you hear, as well as how to improve your auditory perception skills. So let's get started. We'll also be discussing the different strategies you can use to improve your listening skills, because let's face it, listening is an invaluable tool for success in life. Wouldn't you agree? Let me know if you're listening on this message, wherever I'm posting it. Just let me know if you agree or not. Like any skill, practice makes perfect. Learning to listen effectively can help you receive information, understand, and remember information, which can then be used to solve problems, make decisions, communicate with others effectively. So when you develop your skills as an active listener, like you're actively listening to this podcast, you can gain a better insight into the needs and goals of others to become a more effective communicator and create more meaningful relationships. Because, as I've said before, listening is a learned skill. Now, to develop strategies to better understand how you process the information you hear is the key step for unlocking the success of your personal growth. This is all about your personal growth, this particular podcast. And by dedicating a little more time and effort into learning how you process and interpret information, you can really gain a deeper understanding about yourself and about how you interact with the people around you in this world. This insight can really help you to become more successful in your work and in your life, both professionally and personally. as it can give you the tools needed to better comprehend the information you receive to make more informed decisions in your life. Consider taking some time each day to analyze the information and then think about how you can make it more effective and how you can process that information better. Additionally, reach out to people like mentors, coaches, colleagues, and friends, and people you know well. And then ask them for advice on how to better understand your own learning process, and maybe ask them feedback on how you're doing too, because let's face it, we all learn differently, and it's nice to know your progress, right? So when you're giving feedback, make sure it's positive feedback. Make sure it's got a good intent behind it. And when it comes to exploring how to better understand information you hear, having a strategy that works for you is essential. Understanding how you process that information you hear can really help you to be more effective in how you absorb and retain that information. And here are a few strategies that you can use to better understand what you hear, and these also include taking notes, repeating that information in your own words so that you can understand it, and then asking questions for clarity. Taking notes is a great way to remember key points that allows you to revisit information later. And also, let's face it, not everyone remembers everything right away. So after 10 minutes, so let's write it down. That way you don't forget, right? Repeating that information in your own words can help you better comprehend the material that makes it easier for you to remember. So make sure you phrase it the way you understand it to make sure that you're understanding it correctly. And then asking those qualifying questions or clarity questions about what it is that you hear is really also helps to gain a deeper understanding. And it's okay to ask to repeat a question if you didn't hear it or if you don't think you heard it right. Okay, don't be afraid to ask those questions and push yourself to explore the material that you're going to be learning or having to work on, and that way you get a better perspective on it. The goal is for you to be able to understand what people are saying, okay? Not just to regurgitate the information. In other words, not just to repeat it, but make sure that you really have clarity on what's being said and asked for like if you're asked to do a task, we want to make sure that you understand what you need to do. Here's a great example. I used to be a preschool teacher for 20 years, and I loved being in most of the places, but there was one in particular that, as much as I didn't enjoy the overall atmosphere for the most part, I did find that this one particular boss was really, really good at working with me and my learning disability, probably better than most of the people I worked with during those 20 years in that career. And she was really good at writing down my schedule, saying it to me, having me repeat it to her twice before she sent me to my classroom assignment, because I was doing I was like an extra teacher, so I just floated around for a while and helped in different classrooms. And sometimes after we would be getting the schedule out, during the schedule, a message would come to her and we would have to change the schedule on the spot. But she always made sure I knew where I was clear on my directions on where I needed to be, and then she would update me on the schedule accordingly as needed. That was a really good approach, and I want to applaud her for that, because like I said, not everybody does it that way, and that she understood how I operated with how I processed information, and she worked with me on that. And that's the kind of thing you need to do for your employees or for your students. So if you're listening to this and you have a student, whether it's a college student or any age student, it doesn't matter what age, learn to find out what their learning style is and how they process information and work with that. And that's just to give you an example. So to conclude this section, I really want to encourage you to take your time to develop strategies that help you better understand the process of that information that you hear so that you can increase your abilities to get those tasks done more efficiently and effectively. And believe it or not, learning disabled adults and students are just as capable of getting things done efficiently if you learn to work with them more effectively and work within their learning processes and also their learning styles. So get to know them. They're very, very gifted and talented and intelligent. But because of the learning disability, people do not understand them. And I want to help change that in the workforce as well as in education. So please, I just want to encourage you to be more understanding of people and how they process information and how they learn. Okay? That's my encouragement.
And now, here is a word from one of our sponsors. We will be right back after this commercial break.
You are listening to Ray Mason, a business strategy coach and founder for Business Solutions Academy.
Hi there. Let me ask you a quick question. Does it feel like you're drowning under seamlessly mountains of tasks and then feeling overwhelmed? You're not alone. Hi, my name is Ray Mason. I am a business strategy coach for Business Solutions Academy. I help project managers, coaches, and consultants to create an easy process on how to hire, train, and manage a team. Our exclusive mastermind community will help you to be accountable, offer feedback, and collaborate with your peers in an exclusive environment. You have come to the right place to get guidance.
You are listening to Ray Mason, a business strategy coach and founder for Business Solutions Academy.
Welcome back to the Choosing Acceptance podcast with your co-host Ebuka Jestoc. We're excited to have you here with us again, the amazing Marie Mason. Marie has had a varied and interesting career, from being a preschool teacher, an administrative assistant, a podcast consultant, to an author, a business strategy coach, international speaker, and a host for this podcast. Marie is passionate about inspiring people with learning disabilities to go beyond their limits and make a bigger impact in the world by turning their talents into a career. She has a wealth of knowledge and experiences to share with us today.
Thank you, Ebuka. I appreciate the introduction. And we really do have some unique experiences that we can shape who we are, and those experiences really help with making those decisions, and that affects what we do in life, right? Because today's topic is all about the power of your voice, right? So let's explore how we can use our voices effectively to communicate your ideas so that you can have your message heard by the right people. And today's topic is all about making voice matter, regardless of what your learning disability is, or even if you don't have a learning disability. You need to have you are important, and your voice needs to be heard. And in this episode, we will share how you can use your voice and make it heard in a positive way. So let's get started.
What is the power of your voice?
Great question. We have to understand that we all have a unique story to tell and experience to share, and that shape who we are and the decisions that we make. Wouldn't you agree? So our voices are the most powerful tools that we can create to help create change, inspire others, and leave a lasting impact on the world. Whether we are speaking up for ourselves, advocating for others, or sharing our talents with the world, our voices have the power to make a difference. And your voice is the key to unlocking the full potential and living your best life. It is the tool that can help you to connect with others, express your ideas, and make a positive impact on the world around you, no matter what your learning disability is. And you have an important message to share with the world. I believe that your voice should be heard. We need your voice now more than ever.
What are the most effective strategies for speaking out?
Interesting question. So speaking out can be one of the most difficult things to do, especially when it comes to really sensitive or controversial topics. Let's face it, people are really sensitive these days, and with a lot of good understanding behind that. However, it is also one of the most important things we could do to create a positive change in the world, whether we're advocating for social justice, sharing personal stories, or simply standing up for what we believe in, right? So speaking out is a powerful tool to creating a meaningful change. So how can we find the courage and confidence to speak out even when it feels uncomfortable or even a little bit scary? Because I'll be honest, when I started doing podcasts, I was a little scared at first too. Mostly because I couldn't see my audience. But anyway, that's a different topic for another day. So here's how we can give you just a few strategies that can help you with speaking out. 1, educate yourself. Before you can effectively speak out on a particular issue, it's so important to educate yourself about the facts in order to have and get a fresh perspective on that issue. You could do this by researching books, articles, or watching news videos, or I don't know, social media feeds. There's a lot of that. There's so much you can do in finding the information you need, right? Today, we have so much at our fingertips. So 2, reach out to experts. If you're feeling overwhelmed by the information, and there's a lot of information these days, wouldn't you agree? I really want to encourage you to reach out to experienced experts with the knowledge of these issues, because they can really provide both support and guidance to help you better understand the details about those issues. Because most likely, they're the ones that probably wrote about the information in the first place or spoke about it on the videos. So get in touch with those people, because they have that knowledge and perspective that you might need to better educate yourself. And then 3, take action. This is where a lot of people hesitate when they're trying to get their voice heard. Once you educate yourself and connect with those experts, it's time to take action. This could mean writing a letter to your local legislator, talking about some issue that's out there in the world that they need to, you want to have your voice heard and talk about that issue. Joining in a protest, though I would try to focus on the peaceful ones. It's a lot safer that way. And then sharing your opinion on social media, or sharing it with others in group settings, whether it's in person, virtual, it could be in workshops or webinars or podcasts or whatever. So much out there. It's just endless, right? So taking action, when you do take action, can give you a sense of purpose and power, even in the face of adversity. Okay, you're not going to have everybody agree with you, and that's okay. All right, They don't have to agree with you. You just need to get the word out and get your voice heard. And then dig deep within you to find your voice. Don't be afraid to speak the truth. Okay? Be watchful of how you share your message, because things can get misunderstood very easily in this day and age. And like I alluded to before, people are sensitive. And they might not interpret it the way it was intended. It is best if you share a concise message that relates to your audience and provides a unique perspective on that issue. I caution you to be very careful with the words and the emotions in which you plan on delivering your message. Be prepared to receive some insights from opposing points of view and for that issue, and in turn, try to turn that into a more positive experience for your listeners. Let's face it, not everybody is going to agree with you. And I said this before, it's okay. Just learn to be able to flip that negative views from people into a more positive wording and address it in a more positive, heartfelt way. Okay? And again, it's okay if they don't agree, but that doesn't mean you should stop sharing your voice. Okay?
How do you effectively communicate your ideas?
Yes. Oh, good question. Okay. So when you're communicating with learning disabilities, employees especially, it is really important to ensure that the information you convey is clear and direct. Asking open-ended questions and invite discussions and help that employee understand their own strengths and weaknesses. And whenever possible, provide written materials to support your conversation, such as emails, memos, and other visuals like a document. If a learning disability employee is struggling with a particular task, provide assistance and encouragement and try not to do the work for them. That goes for parents and teachers too, by the way. Instead of doing the work for them, provide resources such as tutorials or like videos or other materials that can help them. Or if there's students, give them tutors, and in some cases, maybe at work, give them a work buddy that they can, give them some guidance, to help out. Maybe someone who's had that experience, maybe they can show them how to do that, right? And make sure you can give the help to that employee so they can become more self-sufficient. Just be patient and allow those employees or students to have time to process that information and then practice the skills necessary to complete the task so they can get to the point where they can create that skill and turn it into their own and make an ownership of that skill. Because once you learn a skill, like once you learn how to ride a bike, you never forget, right? So it's just creating that muscle memory. And that includes creating those skills and making sure you process them and be able to do them in a way that's supposed to be done. And it takes time. And it also means you need to be patient.
How do you get your voice heard by the right people? Great
question. So if you are a learning disabled employee, it's essential to make sure that your voice is heard by the right people to ensure that you receive the necessary support. So as an employee, start by finding an advocate within the workplace of who can you trust? Who is that person that you can trust that can help you make sure that your needs are being taken into account? Additionally, it's really important to establish a really good working relationship with your supervisor and as well as your coworkers by communicating openly and clearly about your needs. Not really in the complaining manner, but when you are communicating your needs, do this in a manner that is solution-oriented instead of sounding like a complaint. No one likes a negative Nelly, okay? If you do it in a way that's proactive and solution focused, you're going to get better results. And then sit down with your supervisor and create a combination plan with your supervisor. Once you have that plan in place, then make sure you do have regular check-ins with your supervisor to discuss any challenges that you have at hand to fix them. And then this is going to help you with keeping your supervisor informed and to ensure that you are receiving the support that you need. It's all about educating people about your needs and your situation so that people like your employers or coworkers can better support you, and so that you can also support them in a better way too. It's all perspective, right?
How are we able to make our message matter?
Oh, that's a great one. Okay. Each and every one of us has a unique story to tell. Our experiences and our struggles shape who we are with all the decisions we make. And we said that before. But often, too many times, people with learning disables, students or special needs or any kind of challenge that's going on in them, their stories usually get silenced. We're told to be quiet, you know. For example, that's just some things that I've heard and seen growing up. We may feel like our voice doesn't really matter or that we're not important enough to be heard. But the truth is, every single one of us has an important voice, and we should be heard. This is especially important for those who may have a learning disability or some kind of other challenge, and that society often tries to stifle our voices for those of us who are considered to be different. But this is a great injustice. I don't appreciate that injustice, okay? Your voice is just as important as anyone else's, and you should be heard loud and clear. I want to encourage you to go make a difference in your workplace or in your life, and by making sure that the people you work with or you live with or go to school with understand you, and then teach them how to work with you. It's all about bringing awareness to the workplace and to your life and to your school situation. You can bring awareness to a classroom simply using the tips that we shared today on today's podcast. I'll give you a quick story. When I was little, I had a well-meaning teacher in the second grade who loved to yell at the students on a regular basis. I had very sensitive hearing as a kid, so it really bothered me when she yelled. And I also was sensitive, so I took it to heart. So I once finally came to her one day and got the courage up and said, Miss, I'll just call her Miss L for, I don't want to say her actual name, though she's probably long gone since it probably was in elementary school, but just to be safe, Miss L, you don't need to raise your voice. We can hear you perfectly well. I don't think she realized she was yelling because she probably had done it for so long because she was probably trying to raise her volume up above the clatter of the noise of the classroom, trying to gain control of the classroom. But, I don't think she realized she was yelling. So it kind of made her oh, I didn't know I was doing that kind of look. So like I said, it's just bringing awareness, and you don't have to be in a mean way. Just be very direct and very clear and concise, and do it in a way that's genuine and caring and not just trying to be mean. Because if you're taunting someone, you're being mean. If you're teasing someone, you're being mean. If you're saying it in a kind way and you're doing it with a good intention, then you're being kind and you're caring. And that's the way I would love to see more people do. So I hope, in conclusion, that this has given people a better insight about learning disabilities and how to have your voice heard, especially for employers or employees who are having the responsibilities to making sure that people at the workplace are getting the support they need to get the work done within their skill sets. And as an employer, you should have the understanding of the needs of the learning disabled employees and create a workspace or a workplace environment that facilitates their success. My discouragement is, and what I have seen growing up, is people tend to want to create a workplace where you don't succeed, and they give you all the reasons not to succeed and give you all the wrong information. I'm going to encourage the world to change that, and let's focus on creating a successful workplace environment that facilitates success and encourages success, because I think that will make everybody different, and actually you'll have a better working environment when you do something like that. By creating the support system and providing resources and offering reasonable accommodations, you can really help ensure that your learning disabled employees, or all of your employees for that matter, are able to reach their full potential. And that includes your students if you're in a classroom setting, and it also includes your home life as well. So with the right support, no matter what environment you're in, a learning disabled employee, student, or someone at home can just be as successful as any other employee or member of that group.
Do you have a quick tip for our audience today?
Don't be afraid to speak up and get your voice heard. And don't be afraid to ask questions and get the help you need. That's my tip. Just do it in a loving and caring way. Great questions, Ebuka. So my gift today is about sharing about our Facebook community that we are actually working on to create a supportive a community that's mixed with teachers and professionals and parents with children with learning disabilities. And that includes even adult learning disabled students as well. Like if you're in the college level or something. And then you can also join our Facebook group just by clicking on the link that will be posted up above our video. And we'll be starting to share some more information in that group, probably in the next couple months. So it is March when I'm doing this, but I'm in the process of doing a launch, so it will be a while before I can get some more information into that group. But I will be working on that group probably more likely this summer. In the meantime, have you ever wondered what it'd be like to see the world through a dyslexic child's eyes, or someone with a learning disability? Well, stick around to the end of the show and you get to hear from one of our sponsors, because Bull Bear Books has one of the first books out there about dyslexia, and you can learn more about that and at the end of the show. So that pretty much wraps up what I have to say. I want to say thank you for Ebuka for being here. Thank you to our listeners for liking, sharing, and subscribing to our show. And oh my gosh, I'm going to let Ebuka go ahead and please close out today's show. Thank you for being here, and see you next week.
I want to thank our speaker, Marie Mason, for sharing valuable information on this topic on the Choosing Acceptance podcast. Please join us next week for great tips on how to overcome your learning disabilities and turn your talents into a career. We stream weekly on our YouTube channel and Facebook group, where you can collect all of our offers. Please make sure you like, share, and subscribe to our channel so that our message can make a bigger impact. Thanks for watching. And now here is a word from one of our sponsors. Have a great week, everyone. That ends this week's show.
Welcome to Choosing Acceptance podcast with your host, Marie Mason. I am here to share some success stories and tips on how to overcome your learning disability so that you can turn your talents into a career. And I love to inspire children and parents and teachers with learning disabilities to go beyond their limits so that they can make a bigger impact in the world. Schedule a call to become a guest on our show at calendly.com/Marie V. Mason. My name is Marie Mason. I am the author of Bubble Bear Special Problem. And this book destigmatizes learning disabilities in order to provide a better understanding of their learning disability process. It helps children to overcome their fear of learning disabilities so that they can contribute their talents by bringing awareness to how children should be treated in and out of the classroom. If you would like more to learn about this book, then go to Amazon.com and check out Bubble Bear Special Problem by Marie Mason.